started.
All right. You guys are ready? I'm ready. On this day, let's start off some of the captains, and we can hit as we're getting ready for the game. So offensively, Zach Ertz, and we talked about Zach as a pro's pro and the consistency and humility he brings to us on a regular basis. He's made a lot of impact, and he's been in a lot of NFC East fights, so thought he'd be offensively a good one to have up on this one. Defensively was Dorrance Armstrong, and he's always been somebody that never took the easy path, and it's his work and it's his skills, and just almost by any means necessary to win, he finds that edge and finds the way. And then on special teams, it's Percy Butler. We thought as an absolute tone setter, the speed and the toughness he's shown outside has really made an impact for us and brought a lot of energy to the team. So that's the captains. We will rule 3 guys out today. That's going to be Marshawn, it's going to be Tyler Owens, and Jordan McGee. Past that, everybody participated in some fashion, and Adam and I will huddle up this evening and kind of get the 48 who and what, and then we'll kind of get rocking there. But I want to give you that, and then we can get started on the game.
Well, I don't know what to ask now. You already took care
That's
of
what I thought. I knew everybody was in a hurry, so I just thought I'd get it all done. And
what is it when you're, because you have obviously the game next week, so how much do you factor that into, like certain guys who maybe are close but you know you're going to need them next week? How much does that factor in?
It didn't, honestly, John, this one to go of because I think of it that the same through the year. Can they make it? Can they do the things that they need to do? So it didn't creep in to the decisions regarding those 3. All of them were pushing in close, and we just, on these soft tissue ones, man, you don't want to do it till you know, and that's really important. But that would have been the same in any of the weeks. But I'm pleased with the progress of those 3. They just weren't close enough, but it doesn't mean they're not close.
And then for Austin Eckler, where is he at with that?
Yeah, he had a great week. We'll visit about that tonight, where we're going. But he really had a fantastic week of preparation. He looked fast, explosive, all the stuff that Austin brings. But we'll visit with him and Adam like tonight and tomorrow.
Some of the free agents you guys brought in this year, you guys brought in a ton of guys, obviously, to rework the roster. For the most part, it feels like everybody's contributed in a positive way. There really hasn't been a miss. How it's been around the league? How rare is that to have so many guys come in and really seem to be able to find a way to mesh and help the team?
Yeah, I think that's a real example from Adam and his staff of asking the coaches specifically, what are you looking for and how do we feature it, and finding those players. And so I thought laying out what that would look like for us, I thought that's where it starts, from Adam and Lance and the whole staff of guys. And we spent a lot of time together, but I think that was the most important one, of them understanding the positions and going through the scheme and what would they look for at certain spots. And so I thought that's a demonstration of those guys really digging in.
And obviously, the Dallas guys you're out familiarity with, Zach Ertz and Kingsbury had a connection, and Adam has another guy. Was there an example for you where it was really like, hey, I like this, and what about this? And you guys really worked together to decide, okay, let's bring in this guy. Was there an example of this?
Man, that's a good one. Austin Eckler, I would say, is one that, and running backs can come in, different packages to go, but and Anthony had a long history with him too. So sometimes when you bring these people together from different backgrounds, like Adam had worked with Clee, and so like they could give you more insight. And I knew the player that he was, runner and receiver. But what you don't know until you work with somebody is like the details, the execution, and all the things that go into that. And so guys like Zach and Austin, you can tell why they're a pro's pro. Like, then they are on it and find a margin to get better and look at something on some details. And so the 2 of them specifically have really stood out. But Austin, I would say, was one, that going into it, didn't think we'd have a chance at it, and then we did, to find out roles, how would it do. And so sometimes you also have to talk about playing time and how he would be featured to make it fit from the business side too. So I thought, again, like Adam and their guys really had a sense of what we'd need and how we'd feature the players. And that's our job as coaches then to make that vision come to life on the field. And that's a really important piece of it.
With Marshawn, it being the same hamstring, right?
Yep.
How much is that a concern for longer term? Is this something that he'll need to address in the off season? Or?
I don't know I can't speak on the long term, but I do know he's working incredibly hard at it. And so when you're close, you want to obviously go for it. And the fact that he is putting in all the work to go there, I'm hopeful that it'll eventually be where, okay, we can, I wouldn't say put it in the rear view mirror forever, but there'll always be probably some maintenance when he or any player has an injury. You keep working it through. But I would say that, I love the speed that he's working with, and he's certainly very close, Nicky.
With Jaden, I know there's been much made about getting down, sliding, whatever. How have you seen him, find ways to protect himself throughout the season and improve in that area?
Well, I think going into it, that was one of the topics way back early on. And what does sliding look like? What does getting out of bounds look like? And so it wasn't as familiar with him yet. But this is a guy that is a fast learner. It just wasn't part of his, game all the way through college. And that's true for a lot of players in college. They're more wide open to run and less sliding in that. And it just is. And so I'm not surprised that it didn't take long to understand. That's out of bounds. That's a slide. That's a throwaway. So he is a quick study on things. I knew it would get there. In the early part of the season, there was a reaction. Guys like that. But the underlying of that, I knew he would improve on it. And there's still too many. And we're still growing. But there also is a time when, this is the winning moment. That's a different discussion.
What did you make of Cliff's comments yesterday about wanting to get head coaching at some point?
I think that would be an accurate statement. I've been in that space before, and he's done a fantastic job here, and he's earned the right to be choosy if he wants to when that time comes. And so that would be, the only thought I'd have, with him when that time does come, to say, make sure it lines up like you want it to in all the spaces. And on your second lap, you're probably a little more, I'm not sure if you're willing to do that, you're a little more mindful of that. Where the first time, I'm going to go, I got to take it, and not knowing if it's there. And the second time, after sitting in the seat, okay, this is what's going to be best for me and where I can be at my best. So when the time comes and it lines up for him, he'll do a fantastic job.
What, if anything, do you say as a head coach to anyone in the building who might be, have their eyes on another opportunity as you get into the playoffs, but also wanting to say, hey, this is big games we got to prepare?
It's actually, the league has done a really good job, Sam, through the years. There's plenty of time and guidelines. I've actually gone through it, and it was much easier the second time than it was the first time of going through interviews when I was in Seattle. And it's just a much better process now. For anybody who's willing to do that, all the work that you have done, you don't start preparing for it this week. If you are, you're not ready to be a head coach. So if I saw anybody doing that, I'd call timeout. Hey, man, what the hell are you doing? Because if you're not ready to, somebody want to pick you up, hey, can I talk to you tonight at 9 o'clock? Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be on the phone. But if you have to prepare to do that, then you haven't done the work. And so that would be pretty obvious to me.
Hey, Coach, I think you all, from a turnover margin perspective, I believe you and Coach Ray have mentioned 3 takeaways a game on goal.
Yes.
On the defensive side of the ball. So you haven't really gotten there. You get takeaways, but not
right.
3+. So how do you still try to make that happen, even though you're winning football?
Yeah, it's a really lofty goal. But the actual truth of it is the best turnover margin in NFL history happened here. And to be in the plus, it's both. It's taking care of the ball, it's creating takeaways, it takes a lot of work. It takes practice. It's really a mindfulness, Candy, to put a hand on it, to recover it, to think about it. Because sometimes people think of it all as interceptions. And so for us, it's also the fumble recoveries. It's thinking about when the ball's on the ground, how do I have to, position myself to get the recovery. And so we've got work to do on that. I've never been one that said it comes in bunches, because then I think you're relying on like fate or luck. And I think that's like a terrible plan for getting takeaways. It's about the skill and the technique and mindfulness for it. And so like a lot of parts of things that we're improving on, like I know where are we, satisfied where we're at in terms of the way we, go after the football.
And speaking of coaches, Ryan Johnson on your offensive staff, can you share what he's brought to your staff and the team overall?
Yeah, he's not only brought a lot to the staff, he's also brought a lot to myself. He's somebody that I lean in on hard. We talk a lot of game management things together. We talk offensive things, defensive. So Brian is like extended through the staff. Joe relies on him a lot. They talk 2-minute at the end of games. So Jason Simmons is also into that space where they sometimes at practice call the other team's offense or defense in a 2-minute. And it makes it a little more realistic and competitive. So we do that on Thursdays where it's, for instance, our offense against the Dallas defense and then the Dallas, vice versa. And a lot of those guys will go in to look, what are the concepts, what are they playing? And so I love what Brian brings, not just from a knowledge standpoint, but to the entire staff. He is an incredible coach. You totally missed the opportunity right there by you looking on the phone. Like we could have been out of here right now.
In terms of Austin possibly being available this week, is there anything to be said for like he has been out to get him on the field just to test where he's at, even maybe if he has some own recommendations after the Kentucky?
Yeah, none of that, but just when he's ready. And he really had a good week, Ben. So nothing past that. I love the speed that he played with. I love the energy that he brought into it. So that's what my eyes and ears were looking at for him.
You prepare for next week not knowing who you're going to play.
You have some potentials, and so the assistants will begin work like they do every week on opponents. It's just a little more for them, but it's definitely extra work that they're willing to do.
Take 2 more.
There you go. Welcome back to the press conference.
I have a 10-part question.
Okay.
But when you're speaking of the head coach stuff and you're looking for the second job, and a lot of people talk about Cliff here, he's got Jaden Daniels here.
Yep.
You had a situation in Dallas. Like, how much do you weigh what you have to stick around maybe versus what you may go into?
Yeah, I think it's nothing can like replace the joy that you have of where you're at. And so when you find that, it's a difficult thing to get. And when you do get it, you have gratitude for it. And so sometimes you want to stay in that moment. And other times, it feels, okay, that opportunity is just too good to miss. And so all of it factors in, John. All of it does. Jaden is an incredible player, and he's a blast to coach. And confidence, humility, playmaking ability is just going this way, man. Like this train ain't slowing down. So that's a personal decision, when it comes right. You just feel it. If you feel like you have to force it, then you're probably not making the right choice.
One more Jaden question. His vision to see the field, so when he does start running, he knows where he wants
Yes.
to go. Is that something you knew about him before he got here, or is it something you kind of learned?
Yeah, I knew the running skill was that good. But what he has worked on hard is his ability to remain a passer into the pocket. And what happens sometimes, and I'll use an example from the last game, as he was remaining a passer, the safety then had to back up and find the receiver, and he ran. So it can kind of go both ways. If you can see that, as I'm remaining a passer and John has to guard Ben, he can't just climb to me. So you can also create space to run. And so there's like a balance of that. And if somebody is coming up, you rip it. And so finding that balance is a really crucial part of that. But I wasn't able to see that. And that might be a better question for Adam, that, from more of what he watched. Like, I remember our first time together, like he watched, now watch this game from, his freshman year at Arizona State. So he had clearly watched so much, and it's a really important trait, but knowing I can run because I'm remaining a passer. And the people that are all runners, they see somebody coming, and as they're approaching, how do I make a miss versus ripping it? And so I think that's the balance that he's really finding and locking in on.
I'm taking my chances and he's going to bed. I'm just going to go up and get it.
Probably good. Probably that's why you'd be a good coach. All right, you guys have a good one. See you Sunday.
Thanks.
Locker room's open.
Sorry.